we're just getting ready for Evander's 10th MMA fight, and also Graham's possible first debut MMA fight. So Graham will be fighting possibly at 205. If they can't find a 205 opponent, he might go up to 215. Evander fights at two different weight classes. As an amateur, he fights at 185 and 170. So for his 10th MMA title fight, he's going to fight at 185. And then we have Persian. You know, it's impolite to ask how heavy a female weighs, but she's a wrestler, so she's used to it. So how much do you weigh? 135 pounds. Okay, and for me, I'm out of shape. So the last time I weighed myself, I was 155. But if I was to fight, I probably would fight at 135. All right, and so Persian been wrestling now for how many years? 4 or 5 years. Okay, and she's the captain of your junior varsity? Modified wrestling. And she's been training with us for what, 3 months now? 4 months? 4 months?
4.
Around 4 months. And so she's getting better with her boxing, getting better with her Jiu-Jitsu. Her building block will be wrestling initially, and she's learning how to do judo throws from her wrestling position, submissions from wrestling position. She's doing boxing, but the minute we tie up or clinch, she's going to transition to her wrestling. But as she evolves as MMA mixed martial artist, she's going to start freaking different ways, and eventually her wrestling will mold and change and morph into other things. And eventually her wrestling will just be something else. It's going to be like a hybrid or a mutated version of wrestling, which is cool. In the beginning, you see a lot of wrestling in her, right? But for MMA to be successful, you just use different tool set for any given time. So, so she's part of our training camp, and so whenever Evander and Graham are doing conditioning or sparring, whatever, I train with Persian. I try to grapple with her at least once or twice a night and spar with her. We just started sparring about a week ago, right? Because I felt her boxing's getting better. So we're gonna spar a little bit. It's gonna be the MMA sparring where we're gonna wear like boxing gloves. We're not gonna wear MMA gloves because our focus is punching and wrestling and takedowns. When we get to the ground, we don't want to spend too much time on the ground. I want her to transition quickly to armbar, sweep, or holding position. And that's our goal. We don't want to be doing too much on the ground because then you forget to punch each other. And MMA is very violent, and we gotta keep that in mind. So what we're gonna do next is Evander's gonna coach Persian, and I'm gonna spar with her. I'm gonna pretend to be her opponent, and I have very good control. So when I hit her, ask her, I tag you. It's not hard, right? It's like a little tap here and there. So I would not recommend beginners or girls to wail at each other because they're gonna hurt and they're gonna cry, and mentally it stops them from growing, like developing, because their mind gets scared. But with me, I like to tag her. I like to expose her weakness. If she punches, she drops her hand, I hit her. If she punches and her cross doesn't come back quick enough, I hit her. You know what I mean? I take her down, stuff like that. I take her down. My wrestling's not very good, but I take her down because she forgets to transition from boxing to wrestling, and that's why I can take her down, because her wrestling is better than me. Okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to spar for about 3.5 minutes, and Graham's going to hold the camera, and Evander's going to coach.